There are really only two types of synthwave bass lines, and I'll show you how to create both of them in this video, as well as give you some ninja hacks on how to spice these up and make these really interesting so your next synthwave production really stands out. Hey, I'm Reagan Ram with Orpheus Audio Academy, and I am a synthwave fanatic, so much so that I've created a free synthwave starter pack for you that includes synthwave drum samples, sound effects, preset packs for synths such as Serum, Vital, and the GR8 by Future Tone. All kinds of amazing synthwave goodies, as well as some checklists and guides for you to help you create synthwave music. This is a really awesome starter pack, so go ahead and grab it by clicking in the description below, or go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/starter pack to grab all these amazing synthwave goodies. All right, so let's get into how to create these synthwave basses. So there's two types, and so one is what's known as the running bass, which you hear all the time, the do 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 do, so on. And so there's really two ways to create this. You can do a 8th note running bass, or you can do a 16th note running bass. So we'll hear what they sound like. And famously, a lot of artists use what's called the fat line bass preset. Is from the Korg Poly 6, the fat line bass. I kind of created my own version of that preset here that I'm using with Vital, and I had a full video breaking down how you can create this fat line bass sound inside of Vital. I'll have a link to that in the description below. But here we're looking at just bass lines and bass patterns in this video. So this is kind of what it looks like, pretty simple, and it sounds like this. Pretty simple. And what you'll see a lot of synthwave artists, like an artist like Time Cop 1983, for example, is they'll also usually only use like 2 notes, really, right? 2 chords that kind of repeat, and then they don't really have chords. They have like an arp that takes the place of the chords. So you can keep it really simple like that, or you can have it kind of follow the root note of the chords. But that's that. And this works great for faster tempos. But if you have like a really slow tempo, like say 80 BPM, that's not really going to work. So you might want to use the 16th note bass here. Another thing you can do is like tweak the decay. Depending on your tempo. So right, if you're getting a little bit faster, if you're getting to like 90 in the 90s, now this is almost like too fast. So you can shorten up the decay. But yeah, if you're gonna get into the 90s and above, you're probably gonna want to use the 8th note. If you're getting really fast, like 150, we can shorten that decay. So just something to keep in mind there, pretty simple. So one is 8th notes, the other is 16th notes. Also real quick, a lot of times in my videos, I'll have my basses just drawn out like this. And people wonder how I get those running bass sound. Well, what I do is I go to MIDI effects here in Logic and just add an arpeggiator onto this, and I keep it at 1 octave, and I keep it at the variation 1, and you can like change the note order if you want. And so in this case we're doing 8th note, so there you go. So that versus, so you can hear when you actually draw the notes, it's a little snappier. So it's really up to you. So that's kind of your basic synthwave bass that you hear a lot. Then you also hear this like sustained bass, kind of like what you'd hear like in the theme of like Stranger Things. A lot of different synthwave songs have like the sustained bass sound, where it's just a held out note. Something like that. By the way, if you want me to create a tutorial on how to create this like sound that I created here in Vital, just let me know in the comments below, and I'll create a separate tutorial just on how to create this sound. So already we're up to kind of the 2 we've already kind of covered the two main bass lines for synthwave, and they're pretty simple, right? You got your running bass, but how do we make things a little bit more interesting and spice things up? Well, I went ahead and created a chord pattern. That's a 4-note chord pattern, and then we got the bass line following those chords just to kind of give us a little bit of a guideline for how to go about doing this. One thing we can do to make this more interesting is just take this last note of each of these and just move them up and down or something in a way that sounds interesting. Right, you could try moving them up by like thirds, fifths, sevenths, an octave, whatever. I find I just like to move them around kind of randomly until I find something that sounds good. See, I don't really like that. So there we go. Now we can start moving like other notes around too if we wanted to. Sometimes less is more. The other thing is we can add some 16th notes in with these 8th notes. So let's chop this up. Maybe want to add some at the end here. Pretty cool. Now, the other thing we can do is another common bass, kind of more of a disco sound, is you take every other note and you move them up an octave. Nice and bouncy. Kind of works better for a little bit faster tempos. So if you want up to back to like 150, the song, like it's not a synthwave song, but like Kids by MGMT is like a big one. So another thing we could do is we could like pull this down, and again we can use like an arpeggiator type plugin on it if you have something like that. Just draw these out, and if we put in that arpeggiator here like you can do in Logic, right, we go back to that 8th note. We just go up to 2. So I don't know what you call it, like a 16th octave bass or something. Now, alternatively, if you don't want to create your own bass lines and you want to find some really cool ones that you can use as either inspiration that you can kind of use to create your own off of, or just use yourself, a really great place is LANDR, who is the sponsor of this video. And you can see they got tons of awesome samples here across all kinds of genres. But let's search for some in the synthwave genre. So we can do search samples. And this is all part of their LANDR Studio plan, which not only includes samples, but plugins, collaboration tools, mastering, AI mastering tools, and it's also distribution, so it can replace your current distributor, which is pretty awesome. So let's look at synthwave and then bass. I think that should have been 2 different terms, but it looks like we got some synthwave basses here. So that right there is really cool. So you could use this, or you could just use this bass straight up, or you could drag it into your DAW and convert it into MIDI. And now you got your like a pattern that you can use, and you can change it however you want to fit your song. So even if you don't sign up for LANDR, you can just come through here and listen to some of these. I think you can still listen to these even if you're not signed up. I'm not sure about that actually now that I think about it. But either way, you can come through here and listen to these, and you can just give you really cool ideas. So let me like download one of these and show you how you can like convert it to MIDI. So we got our audio file here, but what if we want to turn this into MIDI so we can kind of change the notes around? Double click on this, and we want to turn on this double helix here first. and analyze it for flex pitch data. So we want to go to flex pitch here. And then we want to go down to edit, and we want to do create MIDI track from flex pitch data, right? And it automatically pulled up Vital for me as the sound source. So now we'll hear how the MIDI sounds. Definitely sounds like it's following it, but it's definitely too low. So move that up an octave. And we can see it's not exactly on the grid. So like these are supposed to be like 8th notes on the grid. These are supposed to be 16th notes. So we're just going to hold down Shift and Option here in Logic to make sure all these notes are the same length. Okay, there we go. All right, so now that we got that corrected, here is the final result. Now, if you like this and you want even more, be sure to click the box on the screen right now, and that will take you to my Synthwave Secrets Masterclass, where I'll break down how to create amazing synthwave hits fans will love using the gear and plugins you already own. So go ahead and check that out right now. It's my complete step-by-step guide to synthwave.